So here's what I'm currently working on, and it is an enclosure for 2 Ender 3s. I believe you could get an Ender 5 in here. I'm just going to make this for 2 Ender 3s, I believe. You're going to have 2 doors, a door here with a window. So you have the top and the bottom. The air handler is cheap. Of course, real flimsy when you get it. It's not very structural unless the doors are mounted on the front. Coils in it. The housing that holds the blower assembly strengthens it up. So first thing we did is we welded this piece in behind the lip that was already here. And then there's a lip on the bottom that actually goes around. This is a piece off a carrier air handler, just the side of it. Welded. I think I'm going to actually put rivets in here. There's another one right here. What you don't see is there's another piece that this overlaps, an L piece. So behind here there's a piece that comes up a 1/2 inch and then goes down and then curls down around, and I have it welded here. You can't see it, but it's got some good welds, and that's pretty strong. Same thing on the bottom. Same deal with it's actually 2 pieces. So we need a good shelf. I'm going to put another piece of this air handler metal on top of that metal structure, and same on the bottom. So I could have done this all with 1/2 inch, but in the scrap pile they had 4 pieces that were 2 foot long. I'm going to put rivets in the side here into it and on the back. On the front, it's really nothing to attach it to. Same deal, cut a piece of metal, put it on the top, and put some rivets in all around to kind of hold it. So on the doors, it's basically going to be air handlers too. I'm going to take 2 of the lips. So the top lip and the side lip on where it opens. So I'll have this lip, and this will be a cut, and along the bottom will be a cut. Same concept of using the probably 1/2 inch. That's 5/8. I'll use 1/2 inch or 5/8 and make a frame, and probably rivet the door to that frame, and then we'll cut that. I might even get the plasma cutter out. We'll cut a nice shape here, mount some 1/4 inch or 3/16 plexiglass. We'll put the SKR screen here. Same thing on the bottom. TFT screen. Also, we will put a temperature controller on here that controls a fan system for keeping the each individual area whatever temperature you want. So they will be independent of each other and sealed off. The cases, it'll use my regular Ender 3 cases that I've been printing for the mother of all Ender 3s. And we'll just mount that case on the side, and we'll reroute everything so the case will actually be on the left. So the Ender 3 will sit in here, case will be mounted to the outside right here, and we'll actually have a chain mount. So these Ender 3s are pretty much going to be like permanently part of this thing. So they're going to be wired in. I found some wood stove seals that are about a 1/2 inch wide, 1/8 deep, and we'll use that to seal the door. We use regular hinges. And again, they'll be hinged on this side, and the door will open this way, and the cases will be on this side. It'll use the same fan controller, like the $10 fan controller that I put on the dehydrator for controlling the whole operation of the dehydrator, but here we'll just use it to turn on, flicker relay to turn on Little 40 by 40 fan. Could be an 80 by 80. I'm gonna have to think about this, but it's gonna go into 3-inch T-flex pipe, pretty much aluminum pipe. We'll vent that outside. It'll have 2 independent ones. I'll also set this on an air handler stand. Needs to come up about 12 inches. The finish, I was trying to figure out if I should take this thing, get it sandblasted, powder coated. I mean, it's got spray glue on the inside for where the insulation was. I did take the pressure washer to it real good, so there's really nothing coming off it, but it's a rough, nasty mess. And I'm sure for a couple $100 they could make this thing look halfway decent. But I got thinking, let's get a can of flat paint for the inside and a can of semi-gloss for the outside. Some oil base, rough it up a little bit with the orbital, and roll a coat on the outside. Everywhere it's flat, we'll roll it. On the inside, we'll roll it where we can, and then we'll brush over it. Probably put some lighting up in here too. We'll address that, put a little switch. So I have to think about a little separate power supply. Little separate power supply that can run the exhaust fan, run the thermostatic controller. This thing's going to be pretty cool, pretty slick, I think. Probably really should be on wheels. The one good thing is I have that big 1-inch angle down there, so we can flip it over, weld a triangle to the bottom of it, and mount a wheel to it if necessary. So I got the door finished and mounted. Solid too, super solid. So I have some high heat insulation. It was wood stove insulation, I believe, or fireplace insulation. Cut a 4 little pieces to stick on here so I could set the hinge distance. And then I welded the hinge to the door, and I lined it up, marked holes in the side here, and drilled them in. So there's the hinge. It's just a cheap 2-inch hinge from Lowe's, and I went ahead and welded it onto the door. I haven't cleaned it up yet. And these are threaded flathead screws. And I have nylon lock nuts for the other side, but for assembly now I have the regular nuts on there. So there's a printer in here. That's because I've been printing some PETG all the way up to ABS. PETG is good enough heat resistance to use in this cabinet environment, even on the inside. The printer's in the case just temporarily while I print this PETG. And here is the cover. And this cover is going to mount here, right there. And I put a mount because I was going to bring the wires on the outside of the door, but it doesn't really make any sense. So we'll just run the wires into the inside of the cabinet, and then we'll bring them out right here. So there won't be a wire here. It'll actually be on the inside, and that'll fit right about right there. There'll be one on the bottom two on the bottom door. There'll be one on the bottom door. Then there'll be some switches along the top here. And I don't know, there'll be quite a few. Probably, I don't know, like between 4 and 6 toggle switches here for different things. There's going to be 2 kinds of lighting in this cabinet. There's going to be incandescent bulb, just an oven bulb in a socket. Just trying to figure out how to get the LEDs inside the cabinet and make them last, not get tortured by the heat and give up. I got it. So we're going to take about a 3-inch piece of pipe, I believe, and we're going to cut a 3-inch hole in the side of this cabinet, one on the other side, and we're going to run a piece of pipe all the way through. We're very thin tin, like dryer. So picture this as the pipe. It'll go through, we'll take it and we'll cut a piece out, probably about 1.5 inches, most of the length for whatever we need for 20 LEDs is what we're going to use on our strip. We'll put a piece of plexiglass on the piece of the pipe we cut out. We'll take a heat gun and we'll just take some very thin plexiglass and just make it conform to that bend. We'll seal it up. We'll slide. This is a piece of aluminum extrusion off a cheap light bulb from Walmart. Some way I'll get my light strip to mount in there. If it doesn't fit in the groove, we'll make it so it fits somehow. Even if it means putting another piece of aluminum on the top and sticking it all together with 2-sided tape or whatever we got to do. We'll mount this inside the pipe. But anyways, that'll be inside the pipe. Plexiglass here. Open to the outside of the cabinet. We'll put a plastic bracket right on here on one side that sticks out very little, and it'll have a fan. It'll be on this side. We'll have the fan where the electronics are. Little 40/40 box fan, constantly blowing air through the pipe, cooling the LEDs. And then this side will just have another plastic cap that screws to the outside of the cabinet and has a little circle that goes inside. And to be honest with you, really, if I have another one of these, which I believe I do, I can cut them to the exact length, and the ends, the plastic bracket that I make that attaches to the outside of the cabinet, they'll have a round protrusion that locks into the pipe to hold the pipe. And then we could actually make it so this plugged into it too. So you could just push it on and I'll lock it all together and put like 2 screws or 4 screws to the side of the cabinet to hold that plastic piece on. One side has the vent holes, the other side has the box fan. So that's how we're going to put LEDs in this that are connected to the SKR board.